We are pretty keen to enter a natural bodybuilding show. I want to be tested as thoroughly as you can. Come and test me every single week. Like, just turn up on my door. I don't care.
What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com. As you would expect, we are going to be reacting to, we're entering a natural bodybuilding show featuring Mike Thurston, both looking juicy as ever in the thumbnail, giving a little mean mug, giving a little questionable, pouty face here. And I have not watched it, but as you would expect in the comments section, let's see, patiently waiting for MPMDing Dr. Greg's responses. Can't wait for Greg to break this down. Let's see, Derek, where are you at? Greg will be all over this. Let's see, MPMD YouTube channel has good blood tests in his description. Get one done a week or something like that, or DM him and see the best way to prove your natty status. Then you won't have people making natty or not videos. See, since he himself does it and would verify you did all the best things to prove your natty status. And he hearted it, but I don't know, let me check my DMs, I guess, and see if he's in there. Because I've had a lot of people ask before, but then when I tell them, they're like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, and then it just never happens. So, we'll see. Anyways, let's get into the video. I'll put it on, I might jump around a little bit, because I imagine there's like vlog shit in here. I might put it on 1.25 times speed. Actually, fuck it, whatever. I'm not gonna like ruin their audio just so I can get through it faster. I'll jump around though. I imagine this is not gonna be 20 minutes of talking about this. Holy fuck. It's a saucy yacht, my friend.
Yay! Bye! Whoa!
Right, let me paddle closer to the boat. No! Oh!
Hey!
Now, Joe.
Keep going.
I'm getting distracted by these saucy yacht adventures.
Was from a boat day. Basically, Mike, Louie and Joel came and met us to hang out for a few days. We hired a boat, went on an absolute mad one. It was awesome. On the topic of Mike, he's actually here. He rung me the other day and said, Matt, I miss you too much. I need to see you again. He flew to England. He's actually upstairs, so we'll go and wake him up. We'll see what he's up to in a second. One more thing, in case you're wondering, which I imagine probably like 30 to 35% of you are. The cut's going well. I weighed in this morning at 93.8 kilos. Andy, look at this. I'm looking pretty shredded. You think I'm going to shred it, Andy? Be honest.
The abs are coming. The abs are coming.
Okay, thanks mate, appreciate that, yeah. Cutting on holiday is so much easier. You're like way more active, it's hotter, you're distracted. I feel like it's just, I feel like if I was in Mallorca all year, I could get to like 1% body fat, but whatever. So let's see what happens. Anyway, Luca, let's go and attack Mike. How do I just slip that in without letting you know? It's nice, isn't it? Okay, so we're gonna have, actually annoyingly, I haven't actually.
So if you guys did not know, these guys both claim natural, like, you know, lifelong natural. They've never touched something in their entire lives. And they look like this perpetually year round, which is, you know, as most people would speculate, you know, impossible, you know? Is it possible? Maybe there's like the smallest little fucking fraction of a percentage, like there are like genetic hyper elites out there, and you know, expectedly, if you're a genetic hyper elite, you're probably gonna be the guy who ends up monetizing it in some capacity. But again, I've dug into Thurston's, you know, historical physique progression from teenagehood to, you know, current, and some of the, you know, leaps and bounds he's made in development in, you know, multiple years after essentially, you know, getting through his, you know, newbie spike of gains and the plateau thereafter, and then subsequent to that, you know, starting to pick up in size gains again. And, you know, MattDoesFitness, there's been many natty or not dissecting his natural status in the past, and you know, they really lean into it, dude. They like, you know, make videos talking about like, you know, using steroids in the title and shit like that, because they're just, you know, that fucking, you know, outspoken about their natural status that they're gonna, you know, make fun of people who even, you know, not make fun of people, but just kind of like poke fun at the idea that they are, you know, lying about their natural status. So anyways, presumably they are, you know, testing out bodybuilding poses here. And I'm assuming this will lead to the decision-making process to actually step on a stage. I'm trying to like jump to the most important parts here.
the Adana wrap thingies. But is it possible, right? Get that exact meal, but then just double the meat. Double the meat. So exactly the same meal. Food. Yeah. Announced the first time when it'll be nice to have just an objective endpoint, something to strive towards.
Huge announcement.
3, 2, 1, go. I want to see how you word the announcement.
Do you want me to
Right, so me and Mike, we've toyed with the idea for the last probably 2 years, just mainly because it would be really funny, and like, I'm excited to see like the outpouring, the reaction. We are pretty keen to enter a natural bodybuilding show. Like, I think it will be 2 reasons for me, right? The first one being, like I said, my cut is starting to feel a bit aimless, like I'm just kind of doing it and I don't know where I'm going, no direction. It'll be nice to have just an objective endpoint, something to strive towards, right? But also, we are two of the, if not the ultimate, like, supposed fake natties on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I can't think of a duo off the top of my head that is more like, you know, speculated about, to be honest.
a lot of videos made about us.
Yeah, it would be nice. Like, I mean, obviously people are still going to say that, right? But what else can we do, right? If we do a natty show and get tested profusely, which, by the way, if you compete in a natty fed or you run a natty fed, please hook me up. Like, message me, put something in the comments, email me. I want to be tested as thoroughly as you can. Come and test me every single week. Like, just turn up on my door. I don't care. I'm open to it. I don't want what I don't want to do.
Okay, yeah, so as far as being profusely tested, you know, how likely is that to happen? Like, unfortunately, the resources are just not there to do that. And even above and beyond that, like, you might get tested once, like, randomly before a show. Like, regional entry-level bodybuilding shows are not going to be testing people profusely around the clock. Like, you would need to be, you know, under like VADA supervision or something to get profusely tested for like, and that would only be for like 6 to 8 weeks. Even like top boxers, they're like, you know, their testing periods are like fucking 12 to 16 weeks at most. And that's under like the most high scrutiny circumstances. And they still have like full off seasons to do like whatever the fuck they want in some cases. With like an entry level bodybuilding show, are you going to be tested to any level of scrutiny that's going to be indicative of much? Depends, you know, you're going to be subject to some random urine analysis potentially. And if they are, they'll at least be able to say that for a period of time leading up to the show, they weren't taking, you know, a fill in the blank anabolic agent. They weren't taking, you know, certain stimulants. They weren't taking certain, you know, blatantly detectable peptides and whatnot, like things kind of like from, you know, S1 all the way down the full panel of the WADA banned substance panel, or at least however comprehensive the, you know, testing league is that they're actually utilizing. Hopefully they would use a whole WADA banned substance panel. I've seen some though that are really fucking shitty, and usually it is at these entry-level bodybuilding shows where they just do like a very, very cheap GCMS of like all of the, you know, main synthetic anabolic steroids. They won't even test for SARMs. They have like a 6-to-1 T to EPT cutoff, just like ridiculous shit. So I don't know how strict this is gonna be, but what I can say is if you are randomly tested, one way to reinforce the credibility of the findings of it is to get a concurrent blood test, because at least with that, you can rule out a lot of different bioidenticals if you do that at the same time, at least for a big chunk of time before the thing happened. Not for like, you know, life, obviously, and it's very plausible that you could have just cleared everything out of your system going into a window of time that you knew you were going to be subject to profuse testing, even though it's not going to be profuse, but you know what I mean? And then, you know, retained, you know, pretty much the majority of your physique going into it. Because again, we see, you know, even top open IFBB bodybuilders at the Olympia level, they'll like take, you know, like 8 weeks off and not visibly lose any mass, because it's like, you know, it takes a certain amount of time for the hormones to clear, and then after that clears, they still have a decent amount of time, maybe not, you're not like years, you're gonna fall apart, you know, of years of no hormone assistance if you're, you know, enhanced, but they have at least, you know, a handful of weeks of runway, if not a couple months, a few months, to look like mostly what they did. They don't lose a shit ton. So it's not like that hard to believe that guys could easily clear shit out of their systems and go into a show, test clean, get on stage. And if I recall correctly, MattDoesFitness has a suspect, I don't know, like, is that how to describe it? Like, it's a suspect low total testosterone level based on his previous blood test results that he's done in videos past. It was like, again, you know, total T is not indicative necessarily of how much muscle you're gonna have, but it's definitely a bit odd that his T is like so fucking low, and yet he's like such a high performing athlete. He's like so jacked, he's whatever. You know, again, there are guys who are jacked as fuck who have, you know, just a few hundred nanogram per deciliter totals and end up needing TRT like clinically. And there are guys who are fucking pinner as hell who have like 900, you know, it does not come, like, this is just shit we're extrapolating from at the end of the day. But there are a lot of things, you know, historically that lead me to believe that they're both, you know, probably not lifelong clean. However, again, the profuse testing, is it going to happen? No, but there is things you could do. And if you wanted to shell out the money, like you could do profuse testing for like a fucking year if you wanted to and really prove it. And again, this gets back to the yada. This is a discussion I had when Thurston made one of his last, you know, natural discussion videos, or maybe it was just like a video with his brother or something. And I discussed the proposal of yada, and it was the YouTube Anti-Doping Association, and it would be, you know, self-funded. We would, you know, only test like certain individuals who were like the most saucy of the suspect guys, and guys who would subject themselves to this testing pool and then, you know, get like dive bomb tested in fucking Dubai or wherever the fuck they happen to be. And, you know, I just send troopers in to, you know, get, the only problem with that is like, you know, even guys who go in to get the tests and get the, you know, bodily fluids, they could easily be bribed. They could be whatever. So it's kind of hard to, the only way you can really make this work is getting unbiased random testing from a league like a USAPL or, you know, some random league that does testing, a professional sport. But these guys are going to be entering an entry-level bodybuilding show, which is at best going to test them at the event, probably randomly. And I wouldn't be surprised if they are subject to random testing, because they are indeed the most suspect looking guys probably at the natural show, I would imagine. So anyway, if you want to see an example, again, I've detailed this for like an hour in my Lex Little Gets Drug Tested video. The thing you literally have to do is the same day you get randomly tested for your urine, you're gonna have to go to a LabCorp or, you know, wherever the fuck you can get tested where they are, which I have no idea because I don't know how the are they in the UK? Like, I don't know how that's gonna work with, I don't even know if they have the proper assays, if they have the proper lab equipment to fucking test this shit, if they have, you know, anything available to them locally to get this done. But ideally you would go to, you know, a LabCorp / or equivalent and get, you know, certain biomarkers tested that would help you rule out bioidentical compound use concurrently with the synthetic detection. So then you can rule out like broad spectrum everything, or as many things as possible, for a big duration of time previous to the show, and at least elucidate that the likelihood is high that you were natural for multiple months leading into an event where hopefully your physique has not deteriorated at all, because then that would more so reinforce your natural status. Like for Lex Little, he was still, the only reason that was useful whatsoever is the fact that he didn't just retain his strength during that period of time, he ended up getting stronger going into the event when he was subject to the random testing with the concurrent blood testing. So it rules out a certain amount of time prior to the event, and that amount of time prior to the event, you certainly would not be PRing going into the event if you were a natural or if you were an enhanced guy who was clearing everything out of your system. You would be hoping to retain however much you possibly can going into an event, rather than continuing to PR whilst you're clearing a bunch of shit out of your system. So that's the only reason it was like pretty fucking credible for Lex Little. But for standing on a bodybuilding stage, it's pretty fucking hard to, you know, bet that even if you rule out the last like 8 weeks or something, whatever it is, it's pretty fucking hard to rule out that you could still hold like pretty much all your tissue for at least a acute period of time, step on stage, get off stage, then, you know, get on whatever the fuck you were on and retain your physique. So it'll be pretty hard for this to mean a lot, to be honest, but I'm open to seeing like what happens and what they're going to be subject to, because, you know, for all I know, maybe it is pretty comprehensive. Let's see.
Is compete in a natural show and don't get tested, that will be a complete waste of time, right? So I want a natural fed that's going to guarantee they're going to test me at least like once, right?
My biggest issue is, because I've been looking at this online, I want to compete at least one more time, because I want to push myself, I want to see what I'm capable of. I need to have that goal of competing to push myself. My biggest issue was trying to decide, okay, well, which show do I do? Because I've Googled before, like, different natural shows. There's a load of different ones. Some of them have different testing regimes.
Like they seem like, I don't know much, I don't want to offend anyone in the natural fed, but they seem to be a bit right?
No.
They seem to be like, obviously because there's no money in it, no one really cares, and the bodybuilders there are obviously skinnier because they're natural athletes, like, they don't seem to be as exciting and as kind of as much going on.
So we need some recommendations in the comments.
Yeah.
The best natural federation.
Recommendations.
Don't even need to be in UK, but for me anyway, I'm willing to move about.
Yeah. So what would be like your ideal time frame? Like when would you want to do it?
So for me, I'm going to be like in Spain for the next 3 months. And honestly, my priorities are not going to be on my training or my physique. As soon as I go back to Dubai, that's when I'll take my training seriously, which is going to be October. So
It's a long way away.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's not.
I'm being serious. Like for me, it's like maybe in a month, 6 weeks. I feel like for me, the cut at the moment is fine. It's actually like semi-enjoyable, but I know that I'm going to get over it after. I also feel like I don't think I'm losing muscle now, but I think if I reckon now I'm probably around maybe 13-14% body fat. If I was to get down to like sub 10, I think I'd start to get a little bit skinny, and like I don't want to do that for a long period of time. So yeah, I feel like I can't drag this cut out for too long. So for me, like, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, the sooner the better, within reason. Like maybe a month to 2 months, I'd be all over that.
For me, it would be the end of the year or beginning of next year.
Or just do it in 2 months with me. Don't be a little weasel.
I have to do it with you. Yeah, we have to do the same
That's the deal, yeah. If you're in Spain, you can still like. I think it's easier to cut when you're travelling. Just eat less food and just do stuff. Way more steps. Like I think it's ideal. Okay, done. Locked in. 2 months. Me and Mike. Like legit, right? If you're in a natural fed or you know someone that runs one, please like hook me up. Like I want to make it happen. I'm extremely keen.
Yeah, so like I don't even know where you would do this in, you know, Europe at all in general. So I'm not really sure how they're gonna make this happen. I'm not sure if it's even possible. And again, like even if you were getting tested in the US, it's going to be close to a competition or at the competition. Like for an entry level show, it's going to be at the competition, maybe at most. And you kind of know that already. Like, are you going to be tested randomly out of competition when you're like brand new to this? You have like no, you know, reputation in the competition circles. Like maybe they've seen your YouTube. Maybe they'll be like, oh, this guy's, you know, saucy as fuck looking. I don't really know, but the likelihood is low, you know, like that you're gonna be randomly tested like at your fucking house, you know, 7 weeks out from a show, 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out, multiple times. Just not gonna happen. And even if you do, it's gonna be like a rinky-dink little piss test that's like, oh, are you on Blasterone? Are you on Boldenone? Are you on Tren? It's like, no, I'm not. I'm using, you know, bioidentical whatever. I'm using fill in the blank. I'm using something that's not being tested. Again, do I think these guys necessarily know their way around it? I don't know, man. Like it's easy to have a cop out of like, there's no way these guys like understand, you know, how to manipulate bioidentical hormones to get around this shit when they can barely like explain, you know, the basics. Not trying to like, you know, talk down about them necessarily, but you know, I'm assuming they're not, you know, that comprehensively knowledgeable about fucking chemistry and pharmacology to the point that unless they're just do a very good job of acting like, you know, ignorant about it in their videos. But I don't know, man. Like, not many people believe these guys are natural, from what I understand, and you know, I speculate that they're not lifelong clean either. And I guess it remains to be seen. Like, again, at best, if you get randomly selected at the show, like, make sure you get blood testing the same day. Like, schedule a fucking blood draw the same day. At least you're gonna be able to rule out a decent amount of time prior to the event, and then throughout that window, if there's stuff you can do to prove. If there's stuff you could do to, like, to be honest, it's almost like, there's almost like different metrics you would ideally use to see if a guy's natural or not during that time frame. Like if you were able to somehow like PR in a lift, which is never gonna happen if you're a fucking natural, or if you're, like anything you could figure out to make it obvious or more obvious and credible in your favor that having no hormones in your system is not contributing to some outcome that seemingly would only be otherwise possible with if you were on the gear. Like if you were hypogonadal, clearing these compounds out of your system, you would not be able to achieve fill in the blank metric otherwise. So for example, for Lex Little, like I mentioned, it was the multiple PRs he was hitting into the event for like multiple weeks prior into the event. That was at least something to reinforce his credibility for when he got randomly tested at the show and had the blood work to back it up. It was like, okay, well, if you were PRing going into the event, and you had this many weeks of PRing, what is the likelihood that you were clearing synthetic compounds, bioidenticals out of your system, going hypogonadal, but still PRing while you're like 80-year-old man test levels or something? Like it wouldn't fucking happen, or it'd be highly unlikely. So if they could think of doing something like that, like that would help reinforce the credibility of a random test that happens at the event. But otherwise, it's gonna be kind of, you know, everyone's just gonna think, oh, you just got it out of your system in time. Like you already know when you're gonna be tested, if you're gonna be tested. So how credible really is it? Not that much. You're just gonna have to be more insight put into this. You're going to have to be more reinforcing, you know, justification for the natural status above and beyond just the urine analysis. You definitely need blood work concurrently, and ideally some sort of contextual like background to why something would be achievable during this time frame if you were indeed clearing hormones out of your system during that time prior to a show. How would you have done fill in the blank, like leading into the show? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like my stance on it, because otherwise, again, it's just a snapshot in time. It's not indicative of what they've been doing for years. It's not indicative of what they were doing fucking 6 months ago. It's not indicative of what they were doing even fucking 8 weeks ago in many cases, you know? So
to make this happen, it will be like, can you just imagine? Like, also it'll be quite funny because I have no, like, if you watch my video of Josh, I do not know how to pose. I have no idea how to pose.
Yeah, I'm terrible as well.
Yeah, I feel like it will be half funny and half sick. So yeah, that's the bombshell. It's a legit thing. We're gonna make it happen, like with someone's assistance, please. So let's just commence that project. Quick little detour because my barbers are like keen to see Mike, so we're gonna swing by and they're gonna be absolutely buzzing about it.
You need a haircut, mate.
I don't know, really.
I'll give you a sexy haircut.
And because Mike is naturally a melt, I thought it would be rude. 2, 1. Thank you, Andy. Woo! Okay, that was like, I'll be honest, it was a shock. More so for Lugo. If you swim around, you get used to it quite quickly. Please subscribe and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, so that is it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are they both natty? Are they not? How credible do you think the testing parameters are given, you know, the context I've given? And Matt, you know, if you've seen, I highly recommend you watch my Lex Little video, or, you know, well, like ideally you would do that so I don't have to, you know, break it down. But I could break down, if you want, over voice note, like what kind of biomarkers to check over blood work and whatnot. I would ideally, you know, like videotape yourself getting the fucking blood drawn, you know, showing that it's in some credible way is you actually getting the blood test results with some sort of proof of the date of getting it done on the same day as your urine is being pulled. That would be like the best thing to get more comprehensive analysis of, okay, nothing synthetic is in your system, and at the same token, all your gonadotropins are still in check. There's no way you have negative feedback occurring from some synthetic compound. You haven't just cleared everything out of your system and you're like operating with no test. Everything looks normal. You don't have synthetic, you know, HCG in your system stimulating Leydig cells to push up your total T to make it look normal. Like nothing's thrown off in any kind of fucking aspect. Your hematology looks normal. Everything, you know, your HDL isn't like randomly crushed for no reason. Your SHBGs, you know, high normal maybe. Like all that stuff would definitely help reinforce the credibility of the synthetic urine analysis results concurrently with the blood test. So, you know, there's definitely a way to at least make it more believable. And I'm not saying like, you know, to trick people, I'm just saying to like reinforce your statements when you say you're natural. There's definitely a way to do it. So is there a way to prove it definitively? No, but there's definitely a way to be like highly likely, like, okay, it would be quite difficult for you to have done this naturally, given a lot of the context that's been broken down. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We shall see what becomes of this, you know, natural bodybuilding show, and if these guys end up going through with it, what kind of league they're doing. When I find out, you know, I can give more deep dive analysis into the testing parameters, if they are a good, you know, reputable league for, you know, what they're doing and what they deploy, as far as, you know, how randomized it is, how frequent it is, how scrutinous it is, all that kind of shit. So we shall see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplates.dates, Facebook, Snapchat, not BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. Get high quality oversight from doctors who actually know how to interpret biomarkers and, you know, symptoms and very basic shit that you would think is obvious, but most clinics are just going to give you a cookie cutter script of TRT plus HCG plus anastrozole and kick you out the door. That is not where we make our money. We make our money on high quality services and oversight, so you can feel comfortable knowing you are getting actual services that are tailored towards helping you reach your highest quality of life, you know, slash health, slash, you know, longevity, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, it's not like we're just looking to put you on meds. Like, we don't actually give a fuck. Like, there's markups on the meds, but ideally, you know, we make the most of our money on these services, the consults, the blood work, etc. So that is where our, you know, bread and butter is, and why I would highly recommend you check us out over all the other options, because nobody's doing it as thoroughly as we are. We're the most turnkey facility in the entire country right now. So check us out. All the doctors and all of our PCCs and whatnot are vetted to reflect the same high quality information that you look for on this channel. And anything else I'm associated with, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas, and design myself from scratch. Anything else I'm associated with, it is all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.